Good afternoon and welcome to the Planning Committee here on the 11th of January 2024, and Happy New Year to everybody, if I've not said it to you yet before. As you can see, my Vice Chairman is not the normal Vice Chairman, so with your affirmation, can I request that Councillor Sweatman takes the role of Vice Chairman for today? Yeah, thank you. Agreed. So he's Councillor Sweatman. To my right is Nick Rogers, the Development Control Manager. To his right, and welcome to our Planning Committee, is Kobe. She's our new solicitor, and we will see a lot to do with Kobe with our planning meetings. To her right is Andrew, who's got the first item on the agenda. In the two corners are members of Democratic Services who will keep us in check, and in front of us are the members who will be actually making the decision. So I shall go through the agenda. Item 1 is receive apologies for absence. I have Councillor Kennedy. To receive declaration of interest of any member on the agenda? Nope, that's good. Oh, Councillor Brown. Sorry, didn't see that, didn't come up. Yeah, go on.
In relation to agenda item 8, I declare that I'm the local correspondent for the Open Spaces Society in Mid Sussex. Thank you.
Item 8. What one's item 8? Oh, yeah, okay, thank you. No problems. And to agree by general affirmation, the minutes and the exempt minutes of the last meeting we had, I'd like to take them both together and I will sign them accordingly. Thank you. Agreed, thank you. To item 4, to consider any items that the chairman agrees to take as urgent business. I have none. And now we move to the substantial part of the meeting, which is item 5, which is 40 Wilmington Close, Hassocks, DM 232975. Andrew's going to introduce this to the committee. Just to let you know, the only reason it's here because Councillor Suhat is a member of this council. Andrew.
It is here because Councillor Hatton is the applicant. As you can see, it's within the red line there. The property is within the built-up area of Hassocks. The application is for a modest porch enlargement. So as you can see there, there's a bit at the front and then it's slightly enlarged. And so this is the existing flat roof porch at the front, and that is going to be slightly enlarged to serve a porch and WC, and it's going to be obviously a lean-to style frontage. It's all going to match the existing materials, which is a mix of face brick and hanging tiles. And as you'll see from the photographs in the next slide, there's a mix of porch types within the street scene. Therefore, it would not be deemed out of character with the street scene. It's a modest enlargement, so the impact on neighbouring amenities will be negligible, and obviously the creation of a more modern porch will be more energy efficient. So therefore it is deemed that the proposal complies with DP 26 and DP 39 of the Mid Sussex District Plan and policies 5 and 9 of the Hassocks Neighbourhood Plan, as well as the relevant paragraphs of the MPPF and principles within the Mid Sussex Design Guide. Therefore, it's recommended that planning permission is granted subject to the conditions set out within Appendix A.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to debate this? Recommend approval, Chairman. Please, Councillor Hitchcock, can we, the recommendation is that planning permission be approved subject to conditions outlined as Andrew said in Appendix A. So can you do your normal, green if you like it, red if you don't, yellow if you're going to abstain. Please tell me that's not me. Yep, we've got all 11. Okay, that has been approved unanimously. Thank you, Andrew, for your time. There will be a minor delay while Hamish, the next officer, comes in and does the next two items on our agenda. And again, while he's setting up, I should just remind members, the only reason he's here is that we are the landowner of Wicks down in Burgess Hill. That's not to say we won't go through due diligence, but just to let you know, that's the reason why it's here in front of us. Thank you. All yours, mate. Cheers, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Yes, as you said, just to draw the members' attention to the agenda update sheet. The address is, to confirm, the address is 255 to 269 London Road, Burgess Hill. On some of your papers, it may be a different address, but yeah, sorry about that. Just to confirm, it's 255 to 269. The report, also, as you say, there's 5 standard conditions for the advertisement. Application has been added as conditions 1 to 5. These ensure the maintenance and safe condition of the signage, that if they are to be removed, it is to be done correctly, that the landowner of the site has granted permission for the signs to be erected, and that they should not hinder any other statutory signage. The existing conditions set out in your papers as currently 1, 2, 3 are to be renumbered 6, 7 and 8. And that is all the updates. So the application before the committee is an advertisement consent application for 2 illuminated fascia signs, 3 non-illuminated fascia signs, and 1 internally illuminated totem sign at Wicks 255 to 269 London Road, Burgess Hill. The application is in front of committee today as the council are landowners of the site. The site is located within the Burgess Hill built-up area boundary and is considered to be within the Victoria Road Industrial Estate. The site is located to the north of Victoria Way and the west of London Road. It can be seen outlined in red here and here on the location and block plan. The surrounding area consists of a variety of commercial, industrial and residential buildings. As can be seen here from the existing elevations, the existing building is a 2-storey commercial building which is characterised by a variety of external materials and includes a number of existing signs. Here are the proposed elevations. The details of the proposed signage is included within the committee report, and the works include 1 statically internally illuminated fascia sign, which is of a large chevron shape above the entrance to the building, 1 statically internally illuminated fascia sign, which is of a large chevron shape to the east-facing elevation, 2 fascia signs which are non-illuminated either side of the large sign above the entrance, 1 smaller non-illuminated fascia sign that has welcome on it, just to point that out, that's this one here. And on this slide is the statically internally illuminated totem sign that will be at the entrance of the site. And here are the sections of the proposed signage. And here are some photos of the site. So top left and bottom right are towards the site from Victoria Way. Top right is from the entrance site, from the entrance of the site, and bottom left is from London Road. So the issues are set out within the committee report. The proposed signage is to advertise a local business offer and would maintain the existing retail offer of the area. As such, the principle is considered acceptable. Due to the scale and design of the proposed signage, they are considered to address the character and scale of the existing and surrounding buildings and surrounding landscape. Due to their location and low levels of illumination, they are not considered to represent a hazard to public safety. For the above reasons, the proposal is deemed to comply with policies DP21 and DP26, the Mid Sussex District Plan, the Burgess Hill Neighbourhood Plan, the Town and Country Planning Control of Advertisements Regulations 2007, and the objectives of the NPPF. The application is therefore recommended for approval, subject to the conditions set out in Appendix A and the agenda update sheet. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you, Hamish. You can see the recommendation is on the screen. Does anybody wish to speak with this?
Recommend approval, Chairman.
Can I have a seconder? Councillor Casella. Thank you very much. Can you do the normal green if you agree with it, red if you don't, and yellow if you abstain? We have a full house for approval. That has been approved. Thank you very much. Hamish, you're not going anywhere. You've got the next one to do. Now, before Hamish speaks on this one, I just want to say this is actually very welcome, this application, because it shows commitment of a big national company wishing to stay in Mid Sussex and invest in Mid Sussex in their stall. So I welcome it. So Hamish, please.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Yes, just to draw the members' attention to the agenda update sheet to amend the transport assessment section on page 42, paragraph 12.14. It should read that this results in a reduction in the number of spaces from the current 71 to 68 spaces and not 71 to 65 spaces. So that's the only update. And the application before the committee is a full planning application for the installation of external cladding, alterations to the existing car park and bollards, a proposed covered trolley park, a replacement first floor showroom to include first floor side facing window, and a replacement entrance and exit to the building at Wicks 255 to 269 London Road, Burgess Hill. And again, the application is in front of the committee today as the council are the landowners of the site. The site is located within the Burgess Hill built-up area boundary and is considered to be within the Victoria Road Industrial Estate. The site is located to the north of Victoria Way and to the west of London Road. It can be seen outlined in red here on the location plan. The surrounding area consists of a variety of commercial, industrial and residential buildings. The site plans here show the existing site on the left and the proposed site on the right, with the amended parking arrangement, location of new entrance and exit, and location of new entrance and exit, and location of covered trolley park seen on the site plan in the right. So this area here is the existing entrance and exit, and then this is the proposed in entrance and exit, and then this is the trolley park here. So here are the existing first floor plans on the left and the proposed first floor plan on the right, which shows the proposed first floor side facing window here at the bottom right of the plan, and that's the only external change in association with that first floor change. As can be seen here from the existing elevations, the existing building is a two-storey commercial building, which is characterised by a variety of external materials. And whilst the plans don't show this, the exterior of the building is considered to be of a somewhat dilapidated appearance. Here are the proposed elevations that show the proposed cladding to the front and side of the building and the altered access to the building. And here is the proposed, the elevations of the proposed trolley cover. And then here are the same photos from earlier, so top left and bottom right are from Victoria Way, top right is from the entrance of the site, and bottom left is from London Road. So the issues are set out in the committee report. The site lies within the defined built-up area of Burgess Hill, where the principle of development is acceptable. The proposed works would maintain the existing retail provision, and proposed appearance of the site is considered to be an improvement over the existing site's dilapidated appearance. Due to their appearance and the varied appearance of the buildings within the surrounding area, the proposed works are also considered to address the character and scale of the existing site and the surrounding townscape. The proposed first floor window would not have direct views into any residential property's private amenity space, and taking into account the nature of the works, they would not cause significant harm to the amenities of nearby residents. The proposal would result in a loss of 3 off-street car parking spaces. However, local highways authority have raised no objection to the loss, and the number of spaces lost is considered to be modest. As such, the proposed parking arrangement is considered to be acceptable. For the above reasons, the proposal is deemed to comply with policies DP1, DP6, DP21 and DP26 of the district plan, the Burgess Hill Neighbourhood Plan, policy SA34 of the site allocations DPD, the Mid Sussex Design Guide, the objectives of the MPPF, and the application is therefore recommended for approval, subject to the conditions set out in Appendix A. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Hamish. There's the recommendation you can see on the screen. Does anybody wish to speak? If not, I
I
seek.
recommend approval,
And
Chairman.
can I have a seconder? Councillor Hussain.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, hands up all the time. Oh, sorry, sorry, Councillor Cherry.
Yes, sorry, I was a bit late in.
That's all right, don't worry.
Just a question on the cladding. I'd read that, I understand it's being made from aluminium, but obviously because it's cladding, does it comply with current cladding safety regulations, or is there anything in here that sort of, because I mean, I guess it does because it's aluminium, but should that not be confirmed in here?
Yeah, so with the application was submitted the details of the cladding, yeah, we consider it to be acceptable in terms of health and safety, and then also it's potentially subject to a building regulations application anyway, which will kind of doubly confirm that.
Right, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, any more questions? Nope. Okay, so can I ask people to vote as you would normally vote, please? Green if you agree, red if you don't, and yellow if you abstain. I've got a full house. That is is approved. Thank you very much, Hamish. Thank you very much. While Joe's taking his place, there are some updates, as you can see on it. All right, this is item 8, is DM 232172, land south of Old Police House, Birch Grove Road, Horsted Keynes, West Sussex. Are you ready, Joe? Okay, thank you. All yours.
Thank you, Chairman. As you've mentioned, there are a few updates. I'll just take members through these quickly. The first update is in relation to recommendation B. The date for that has been amended to the 11th of March 2024. On page 49, the summary of consultations added in Natural England's response that they're not objecting, subject to securing appropriate mitigation. On page 52, within the principal development, paragraph 12.2 should read, the district's ONA is 14,892 dwellings over the planned period. Provision is also made of 1,498 dwellings to ensure the unmet need is addressed in the North West Sussex housing market area. On page 82 within the Ashdown Forest, is added in that the financial contributions for SAM and SANG mitigation will be secured for a planning obligation pursuant to section 106 of the Town and Country Planning Act, planning obligation. On page 96, the condition 17 has been amended to read, no development shall take place above slab level unless and until the applicant has submitted a sustainability statement that clearly sets out what the sustainability measures will be incorporated into the development aimed at minimising the amount of energy that the building will use and the water consumption of the occupiers. No dwelling shall not be occupied unless and until an independent final report has been prepared and submitted to the local planning authority to demonstrate that the development has complied with the criteria set out within the approved sustainability statement, and that's for the same reason. And then finally, on page 97, Condition 19 has been amended to no development shall commence which will impact the breeding / resting place of hazel dormouse unless the applicant has submitted to the LPA either a licence issued by Natural England pursuant to Regulation 15 of the Conservation of Habitats and Species Regulation 2017 as amended, authorising the specified activity / development to go ahead, or B, a statement in writing from Natural England to the effect that it does not consider the species activity / development will require a licence, and again that is for the same reason. The application is seeking planning permission for the erection of 25 dwellings with associated access, car parking, landscaping, balancing pond, creation of biodiversity area and infrastructure works at land to the south of the old police house, Birch Grove Road, Horsted Gaines. The application site is shown on the first plan here, outlined in red, with the northern part of the site as shown on the second plan being within the built-up area boundary of Horsted Gaines, as the site has been allocated under SA 28 of the site's allocation DPD for 25 houses. In terms of site constraints, the western boundary, as identified here, borders onto the Horsted Gaines conservation area, while Lucas Farm, located to the north, is a Grade 2 listed building. There's also a public footpath which runs between the Swedish houses and through the site and across the second parcel of land. The site is also within an area of outstanding natural beauty and is within 7 kilometres of the Ashdown Forest. We have a site plan here which shows how the 25 dwellings are to be accommodated on site, with the access road to the eastern side of the old police house. West Sussex Highways have been consulted on the highways access and parking arrangement, and they have raised no objections to this proposal. The proposal is seeking to retain the dwellings to the northern part of the site, retaining the footpath running through the site, which will then move into the second part, which will become a mown path. West Sussex Public Right-of-Way officers have also raised no objections to this. As per the land use plan, it highlights again the residential area in the northern parcel with a local area of play, which is located just where I'm identifying here. On the southern side, part of the site, it's going to be part of the biodiversity area, which includes a suds pond with a natural wildflower meadow surrounding it. The proposal will be providing 10.43% biodiversity net gain on site, together with 34.59% gain for linear hedgerows. With the boundary trees are to be retained where possible, and these will be reinforced with native tree, scrub and hedgerow planting, which will aid the visual integration of the proposal. The ecology consultant has recommended approval subject to conditions that are set out in Appendix A. In addition, the council's tree officer has raised no objection to the proposal. On the following plan here, we can see that the proposal is going to be providing 8 affordable units. This complies with the policy requirement of 30% affordable housing on site, and the mix and tenure of these is in accordance with our Mid-Sussex Housing Officers' requirements. Here we can see the building heights. The proposal is seeking to provide a mixture of 1 storey, 1.5 storey and 2 storey units. As you can see, the single storey units located in closer proximity to the access road and the other neighbouring dwellings. Then we have a couple of the 1.5 storey, and then obviously the 2 storey identified by the yellow on the plan. And this just shows us the housing mix that is going to be provided. The proposal will be providing 10 one-bedroom flats, 1 two-bedroom flat, 6 two-bedroom bungalows, 3 two-bedroom houses and 5 three-bedroom houses. The proposed housing mix fully complies with the requirement for set out within policy HK3 of the neighbourhood plan for the housing mix. And we have some examples of the proposed house types. The first one here is the 3-bed house plan. This obviously has a traditional design with the tile hanging first floor and a brick ground floor. The design is considered to be is considered to respond to the local character. And again, just for context, here is a plan of the 2-bed bungalow. Here we have the 2-bed chalet bungalow. This is the 2-bed house. This is the 2-bed coach house. And again, this is just the plans for the 1-bed flats. It is noted that the council's urban designer has commented on this application. They have made a number of recommendations, which the majority have been taken into account. There are a few which have not been taken into account, but the reasons are set out in the report. For instance, the footpath going all the way around the site wasn't considered suitable because that would impact on the on-site B&G provision. But overall, they are not raising any objection to the proposal as it stands. And we have some coloured street scenes here. So the first one is looking from the northern front boundary of the site. So we have the 2-storey dwelling, and then obviously the bungalow just at the entrance. And then this is looking down the eastern side of the access road. And then looking down the western side of the access road, and also along the eastern spur, so obviously on the northern side and of the southern side. And then we have final street scenes just looking again on the northern side of this spur at the bottom, and on the southern side with the public footpath which will run along this section. The proposal is considered to be of an appropriate design size and scale that is in keeping with the character of the existing village of Horsted Canes. Furthermore, in accordance with the landscape consultant's comments and subject to their recommended conditions, it's also considered to preserve the character of the wider area of outstanding natural beauty. For context, we have some site photos, the first of which is looking east across the frontage of the site, and then the second one is looking west along the frontage. The next photo here is showing the location of where the access point will come into the site, with the old police house just visible on the right-hand side. And the final photo is looking down Danehill Lane. Just to point out, obviously, there is very well established greening along this boundary. The next set of photos are from within the site. The first is looking north towards the existing dwellings. The conservation area is located onto the western side amongst the trees. The next photo here is looking west across the site towards the old police house. The third photo is looking north across the site. Just beyond these trees here is the Lucas Farm, the Grade 2 listed building. And the final photo is just from the southern part of the site, where the proposer is seeking to provide the Suds Pond and Moan footpath through. As set out within the report, it's considered the public benefits would outweigh the less than substantial harm to the setting of the heritage assets of the conservation area and the setting of the listed building. The proposal is not considered to cause significant harm to neighbouring amenities. Subject to the completion of the legal agreement, the proposal would be providing infrastructure contributions and would be providing relevant SAM and SAN contributions to mitigate the impact on the Ashdown Forest. We have had details of the sustainability measures, which it will include the proposal exceeding building regulations, a fabric-first approach, and it will avoid thermal bridging, include low-energy lighting, and the dwellings will have air source heat pumps. Additionally, details on the sustainability measures, additional details on the sustainability measures have been secured by condition 17. The main reasons are set out in the report, and the proposal is therefore recommended for approval in accordance with the conditions set out in Appendix A in the completion of the Section 106 agreement to secure the SAM and SAN mitigation, biodiversity net gain provisions, infrastructure contribution and affordable housing. We also have a recommendation B that if a satisfactory planning obligation has not been completed by the 11th of March 2024, it is recommended that the application be refused at the discretion of the Assistant Director for Planning and Sustainable Economy for the following reasons. 1, the proposal fails to provide the required affordable housing and infrastructure contributions to the application, therefore conflicts with policies DP20 and DP31 of the Mid-Sussex District Plan, policy SHN of the Mid-Sussex Sites Allocation DPD. 2, the application fails to mitigate its impact on the Ashdown Forest SPA and SAC, contrary to policy DP17 of the Mid-Sussex District Plan 2014 to 2031, policy HK10 of the Neighbourhood Plan and SHN of the Mid-Sussex Sites Allocation DPD, and the provisions contained within the National Planning Policy Framework. And finally, 3, the proposal fails to make provisions for securing biodiversity net gain. The application therefore conflicts with policy SHN of the Mid-Sussex Sites Allocation DPD and the Horse Canes and policy HK10 of the Horse Canes Neighbourhood Plan. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Joe. We do have a speaker, Amanda Sutton, speaking for the applicant. If you can come to, you've been here before anyway. Could you come to that, Chair, please? When you press the button, you should get a red light like I've got on mine. You've got 2 minutes. The countdown will appear on the screens, and after 90 seconds, I will say to you, 30 seconds to go. So when you're ready, if you can press the button.
Thank you.
Yep, ready to go.
Good afternoon. I'm here today representing my client Sunley Estates, who are a third-generation family company who take pride in their developments, with each site and each home specifically tailored to its surroundings and the needs of the local community. Before a single home was designed on this site, ecology and landscape were thoroughly evaluated by independent experts, and the overall design stemmed from their findings and recommendations. At an early stage, a public exhibition was held locally where all the plans were available to view. This was very well attended, and we were really pleased that the designs were positively received, with many comments on how attractive the new homes are and how well thought through the scheme was. Following the constructive feedback, together with input from the Parish Council and immediate neighbours, the application was amended to incorporate their views and the views of local people. 4-bed houses were removed and replaced with smaller dwellings, as well as many other improvements to the scheme. There followed further changes as a result of officers' helpful feedback during the application process. And so what you see today is the ultimate result of a genuine collaborative design approach. Some of the bespoke features you may note include bungalows for single-storey living, a wildlife area being a key feature of the 10% biodiversity net gain provision, which is all provided on site, substantial green buffers with new hedgerows to provide privacy for neighbouring residents, electric car charging points for each of the dwellings, thus achieving 100% provision, and a defibrillator close to the entrance as requested for the wider community to access. We truly believe that first-time buyers through to the elderly are all catered for within this scheme, whilst the habitat is enhanced and protected for the wildlife that already exists as well as long into the future. We're extremely pleased that this application is supported by the Parish Council together with your officers and hope that you too will support us by voting to approve this application. Many thanks.
Well timed. Before we go to open it up, just like to remind members, this is a allocated site as under the DPD site allocations document, it's SA 28, so the principle of development has already been established for this site. So this is a full application, so it's all to do with the way it looks and everything like that. Before we start, I'd just like to put my 2 pennies in. I am very pleased to see bungalows on this site because, to be perfectly honest, we have an ageing population across the district, and I would like to see more and more of these applications contain bungalows. Councillor Brown, you are the ward councillor. Do you wish to speak first?
That's very kind of you. That's kind of you, thank you. I've got a few things to say. I'd just like to just perhaps inform new members who are not aware of the history of the neighbourhood plan making process at Horsted Keynes. It started in 2016 and it was made in 2023, I think, in the old council. So they had a lot of problems with sites and also developers wanting to develop. And 2 sites went to appeal, and the appeals were turned down. And the supplementary planning document, the site allocation one, raising this SA 28, overtook the neighbourhood plan. So when it comes to the objections from the local community, they were quite small in number, and they related to people who were fairly adjacent to the site. And the parish council, as we've just heard, are reasonably happy with the development, and I know that they thank. They've said as much in their report. It's on page 153 and 154. There's a summary of their findings there. So the key thing is, as we've just heard, that it's meeting the needs of Horsted Keynes in terms of smaller houses, 1 to 3 bedroom. I think 100% of them fall into that category, and because the village is oversubscribed with 4 bedroom and larger houses. There's 3 things that I do want to comment about, though, that a little, well, it's my chance to do that, so if you bear with me. One of them is drainage, the second one is the public right-of-way, and the third one is sustainability. Taking the first one, drainage, the drawing by Bannersgate of the drainage strategy, Rev G, is all very clear, and the pond that we can see there diagrammatically it needs to feed, as I understand it, into the corner, the southwest corner of the site, where it can drain into the existing drain. And so that sort of dictated the position of that swale or retention pond. And as a result, it's influenced the diversion of the public right-of-way. And the parish council would have liked to have seen that right-of-way continue along pretty much the route that it has at the moment, diagonally across the field to the retained hedgerow to the south of the development plot. And I personally don't like the way the route of the public right-of-way, because it loses its sense of views, because it's lower on the site, One of the reasons, originally there was going to be on the north side of the retention pond, but then one of the reasons that's been put forward is hazel dormice, which I notice is one of the subjects of the conditions amendments. But I can't see that, quite frankly, because although obviously I'm not qualified to speak on that sort of thing, I mean, hazel dormice, they don't come down to the ground. They exist in they're nocturnal and they exist in the structure and they're hazel, and there isn't a lot of hazel there. And anyway, the main problem with fauna is cats, and everybody gets cats, and you know. So I've made my point on that. I'll move on to the next one, which is the public right of way, a bit more specifically. There's a very good report by a company called iTransport in Public Right of Way Note, July 2023. It's referred to on page 127 of the report by West Sussex County Council. That's the only mention of it. It's quite a comprehensive document, and it's referring to the need for a Town and Country Planning Act Section 257 order by the council. And it's also referred to on page 162. Now, these Section 257 orders have concerned me as an Open Spaces Society local correspondent over the years, and if they're not done expeditiously and early on in the process, and they're left for any reason, they cause a problem. So what I've noticed is it's not referred to in the conditions or indeed in the informatives. I'd like to suggest that is included. What did I? Yeah, something along the lines of no development shall take place until a Section 257 order under the Town and Country Planning Act 1990 has been agreed, drafted, displayed and delivered to the statutory consultees by Mid-Sussex, and that would then inform the landscape management plan, the arboricultural method statement and the construction environment management plan. So, going back to the right of way, it falls into two sections really. The bit that from Birchgrove Road between the two Swedish houses, Swedish House 2 and 3, and it's a muddy path at the moment for anybody who's been to see it. There doesn't seem to be any proposal to upgrade it. And it's going to be a very useful cut through for these residents when they're walking into the village. And so it's got no drainage, and I can't see myself any proposals to upgrade that by either the council, the county council, or the developer. And then as I've already mentioned, the second part, that it then goes on to, it forms a part of a footway through the development, which is fine. And then I've already made the point about the way it goes to Danehill Lane. And I'd probably have something to say about that, but wearing my other hat later. Then moving on to sustainability, this is the final point, we're glad to hear. And the energy statement on page 89, sections 12.142 and 12.143. There's a report has been commissioned by the applicant, by Briery Energy, energy strategy statement report. And it doesn't respond at all to Horsted Keynes neighbourhood plan net zero carbon ready policy HK11. What I think what they're asking for, is some thoughts about the ability to add solar PV to make the properties, albeit as it is, they are pretty energy efficient and they're better than Part L. But there doesn't seem to have been any real consideration of aligning them on the site. They're sort of scattered around all over the place. So I'm not seeking to change it, but I'm just making a point that, I think it could have been done better. And I'm particularly critical of this Priory Energy support report. And I'd be quite happy to talk to those people about the report that they presented. So just to conclude, when it comes to so the council have been promoting householders to add solar PV to their properties, and it's a very good way of making your property or moving it towards being net zero carbon, or actually achieving it. And I myself have done that, and a whole load of people did under that policy that we promoted in the previous council. So I think this is a little bit of a missed opportunity, where we are with net zero and global warming. I'd like to have seen the policy of HK11 actually taken seriously. But there we are. So thank you very much for listening, everybody.
I don't think we had any choice there, Councillor Brown, to be perfectly honest.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. I said we had no choice in the matter. You made a lot of comments. I'm going to ask Joe, the officer, and Nick, between them, should be able to answer quite a few of your concerns. Joe, if you wish to.
Thank you, Chairman. Just in regards to the Section 278 agreement, we have got condition 37 on page 102, which requires the sort of details of the Section 278 agreement for the highways to be sort of submitted as part of that condition. And we've also highlighted in the informative about any of the block paved areas sort of to be adopted as part of that to become as a Section 38 agreement in accordance with West Sussex comments and the sort of public rights of way officers' comments. So it's considered sort of acceptable by them. They've not raised any objection to the proposal with the sort of alterations to the public right of way. In relation to the sustainability statement, we do have condition 17, which requires some additional details. As set out, they are seeking to do a fabric first approach. Sort of in the future, the building regs are likely to change in 2025, so it may be the case that they might have to make some changes to meet the current building regs if they haven't built the properties at that stage, but at present the proposal is deemed acceptable and to be meeting and exceeding the current building regulations. So from a sustainability point of view, subject to that condition, it is considered acceptable. Thank you.
Okay, Nick's going to answer the other question about the public right of way.
Thank you, Chairman. On the drainage, Councillor Brown mentioned drainage. We do have conditions 7 and 8, which require full details of the drainage to be submitted to and approved by us before development starts anyway. And as you'd be aware from the report, the council's drainage engineers have looked at all this and they are satisfied that it can be satisfactorily drained. I think Councillor Brown does make a good point on the public right of way, though. As he referred us all to page 162 and the West Sussex County Council's public rights of way comments. The diversion of the right-of-way will need to be subject of a separate application under 257 of the Planning Act. And again, I think he's correct that we don't actually have a condition which requires that path to be put back, to be there. So I think it would be reasonable and necessary and meet our the national conditions if we were to have a planning condition. I don't think you could say before development commences, because obviously you can't put in a public right-of-way in the middle of a building site. So I think you could have a planning condition which would word to the effect that no dwelling should be occupied until that public right-of-way has been resolved. And you can see from the public right-of-way officer's comments on that 162, they're going to have to make an application. That application, in terms of timing, and he says there, it's only at this stage, which is that any temporary closure of the path required for development may be applied for through West Sussex County Council. So it's got to be sort of when development started and not and post-start rather than during. So I think that's a reasonable proposal, and I would recommend that additional condition if members were happy with that.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, before I go to Councillor DeBell, just to remind members, this application has come under the old district plan, not the new one. And you might have read the water usage is slightly different from the new one, so we can't use our forthcoming plan, Councillor Henwood, because I know you might want to ask that one, but we can only ask the ones that we've got, the current plan. Councillor DeBell.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I was thinking what a pleasure it is to see sites like this that are sympathetic and that the locals are pleased with. I'd like to see more of these sort of sites, as our speaker was talking to us about. And we've seen one or two of these come through planning, and they're always a pleasure to deal with. It's working together, and I like to see that. It's much better than these massive developments all over the place. I know that growth's got to come, and I know that housing's needed, but this is the way that personally I like to go. And the only other thing, I'd like to thank Councillor Brown, because it cleared something up for me. I was wondering how they knew the Dormouse's name was Hazel. So thank you very much.
No, he's actually, I concur. I do agree with this. These are the developments you want to see in villages. Okay, we do have our bigger developments, which, you know, by the very nature do tend to be around our three big towns and the bigger villages. But these little developments, if they've done correctly, in years to come, people wouldn't even know they're new. That's the good thing about it. Okay, Councillor Henwood, you're next.
A couple of comments, just a question. Sorry, a question about the size of the play area. You mentioned there's a play area. I wondered how large it was. I wondered what.
I should imagine it's consummate to the 25 dwellings, so it's not going to be a huge
Okay.
all singing or dancing Leyland's Road one.
No, I just always get concerned about the position, whether sufficiently overlooked by neighbouring houses, because we've had this problem before, and where they're stuck, play areas are stuck at the back, and
It's there.
nobody, yeah, I see it's that. That's okay, I'm just highlighting that particular point.
It's a good
that we need to
question,
be
very good
conserved.
question.
Yeah, whether it's, yes, because it's for bad experiences in the past. That's all. I'm wanting just to highlight that. And the second point, I really wonder if somehow we can say, I know it's the old district plan, but somehow we can put in some comment about how we wish there would be. It's all well and good to have EV charging points, but where is the electricity coming from?
Yeah,
And
that's
I wish-
beyond Mid-Sussex District Council to build a nuclear power
Yeah,
station.
that's a pity, but I don't want a nuclear power station anyway. But I wonder why we can't put forward the idea that we would wish that photovoltaics would be used, orientation would be appropriate. And the other comment, which we should be, I think one time we put in as an informative, I mean, I don't know why we can't actually express when we approve these applications, this is the way we want it to be in the future. And the other thing, which is grey water recycling. Over and over again, we have this problem about water, not enough water. So there is provision, should be provision within new builds for the grey water recycling mechanisms.
You're straying into the new plan there, I think, methinks.
But we can say, we would wish this.
We would welcome it,
We would welcome
but
this.
we can't wish it.
Okay, then, but at least put our, whatever you
down.
call it, thank you. Put our marker down that this is the way we are going and we want to go. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah. As my Vice Chairman just quite rightly said, we can only deal with what we got in front of us and not what we wish to have. But I did notice the speaker writing furiously there, and I think Mr. Rogers is going to mention about your informative, because I think he and I are probably supportive of that.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, well, we can say the applicant are represented here, and they've heard what the committee has said about it. We can add in informative, but that's all it can be. It's not a requirement, it's an informative to explain to the developers what the council would like to see in terms of PVs, for example.
And grey water.
We can add grey water, but it's, again, it's an informative as opposed to a condition of a requirement.
Okay. Councillor Hitchcock.
Yes, just a couple of things. Going back to condition 19 and the requirement to looking at the breeding places, not the breeding places. Okay, there's a typo there which says breeding.
Oh dear.
You only do that to dormice when you're going to roast them. And the other thing is to compliment Councillor Dable's comments. I think this site is one that I particularly like. It's a good layout. It's very well mixed. Small number of houses, good distribution of numbers of beds, very large play area come green area. Fits into the landscape. Looking at the contours of the land, you will not see this particularly from close by or distant. And I think that's a really good and encouraging thing that the developer has actually come forward with. So I like this very, very much, and I wish to support it.
Yeah. And I totally agree. As I said before, and give a few years' time, once it's all been built, nobody will know it's there. I mean, the amount of times I've driven down that road and turned right towards down towards Dane Hill, you don't even know the field's there. And if they're going to build up the tree line around Dane Hill Lane, you won't know it's there. And the really good thing about it is it's close enough just around the corner to the shop. And for those people who are old enough, there are two really good pubs in Horsted Canes to go to. And it's a really nice village. And they've got the big area below. Obviously, parents might be concerned if it's rained a lot and the pond is full. But if not, you've got a nice green area there to play with. And it's a very viable location. So there are so many good things. I just hope that there's no tinkering and we get in applications to, can we change a 3-bedroom to a 4-bedroom? And things like that, because that will go against the spirit of what we're going for today. And I do think, and I did ask the question on Monday, that with any application to change the bungalow into a chalet style has to come back to the LPA, which is us, the planning authority, to make a decision on it, and not, you won't get that in permitted development because it's an area of outstanding natural beauty. So with that in mind, I need somebody, if you go to page on page 48, I'm not going to read it all out because there's 2 recommendations, A and B. The only thing I will highlight is the new date. It's not July, it's in March. There it is in front of you as well. So can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Hitchcock, and a seconder, Councillor Kenny. Can we all vote accordingly as we normally would do, please? Green if you like it, Yep, that's 11 for and none against. That has been approved. That must be a first. 4 applications, all 4 have got a unanimous decision. Thank you very much. I will now go to item 9, which is questions pursuing Council Rule Procedure 10.2, due notice which has been given. I have none. I close the meeting at 4:58. Can you remain seated until the live feed has been terminated, please? Thank you.